Hi, this is round 2. I'm back to finish the job. Sorry it took a minute for me to get here and for me to finish editing because that video made me really sad.
For those of you who are lost, I got my heart broken after moving across the country, so I went to every Buc-ee's in America on the way back. Here's a link if you want to check out that. Or not, you don't have to. I'm not your mom.
Anyway, previous video I did all of the non-Texas Buc-ee's. That was a week-and-a-half long trip. I discovered midway through that trip that the grand opening of the largest Buc-ee's in the world was going to be opening just a couple days after my planned end of this trip. So I figured I would extend my trip and go to it, right? So now we're going to all the Texas Buc-ee's. Giddy up. Let's get into it. Let's go for it. Let's do it. Yeehaw. That leg of the trip, I went to 14 Buc-ee's, and this leg of the trip, I'm going to be going to 35. So, buckle up. Also, for simplicity's sake, some of this is going to be out of order. I'm sorry. It was just too much. It was a nonsensical trip. I didn't want to make another 40-minute video. I'm just going to lie to you, okay? You weren't there. I get to lie to you, and I'm the only one who's going to know. We're doing it. So, Terrell was the first one that I went to. That one was on my way in from the southeast.
Ooh, a very aghast truckie, mouth agape.
It had just been decimated by some gnarly weather that came through, but it made for some very cinematic shots.
So those were great for the gram, along with this little phone holder and this bench that I tried to utilize for a little social media photo sesh. But then my photo sesh was absolutely interrupted. No, sir. Good news is this little guy works.
Up next, I went to the Melissa Buc-ee's on my way up to Missouri.
I think I like this one from straight on, but otherwise, it's a little upsetting. You got a cake ball. It tastes like when you're a grown-up and you go back to like eating kids' food. A little bit like chalk, but a lot like sugar. I feel like this one was a miss. Don't go to Buc-ee's for the cake balls.
Then, on my way back in from Colorado, I went to the Fort Worth Buc-ee's.
I'm getting a Texas sticker because if people keep on thinking I'm a Californian on the road, I'm gonna get shot.
This one is giving shit the sloth. But I do like the details though, those are nice.
Honestly, that was pretty disappointing. I ended up getting the pin, but they didn't have anything that I wanted. I feel like the Texas Buc-ee's don't have to try as hard, so they're worse. I realized my hat matches the Buc-ee's meat thrower people.
And then the plan was to start a giant triangle across Texas, starting from DFW down to Austin, over to Houston, where we had 1,000,004 Buc-ee's to go to, and then back up. So starting down 35W, we hit Hillsboro, which had a giant thing of BBQ sauce with nutrition facts. That's fun.
I'm pretty sure my head doesn't even come up to the bottom of those letters.
Look, I like this brand, okay? They're fun, they're zany, they do goofy things. You can see their giant BBQ sauce from the highway. That's fun. And the next one down the highway a bit was Temple, Texas.
Look at that truckie. That is so good. Okay, note to self, Sundays are a madhouse. Seems we got the after church crowd, and it is wild. Oh my god, this is the longest line I've ever seen at a Buc-ee's. It literally is going all the way to the food place. Are you kidding me?
Here's the thing. These two I visited on a Sunday, and if you're the type of person who gets overwhelmed by crowds or a lot of things going on, I cannot recommend going to Buc-ee's on a Sunday. It was the most crowded I have ever seen. Ever. Similar to the Georgia Buc-ee's, this one took a toll on me.
Another emotional check-in that I'm not even sure if I will keep in this video, but I'm not doing good. I cry basically every day. Just like, I get sad basically every day around the same time, so I can't tell if I'm actually sad or if it's just my body being sad. I heard somewhere that emotions only last for like 90 seconds if you just sort of like lean into them and like let them happen. And that is what I am trying to do, is just sort of let them happen. Every time that I don't distract myself, I get really, really hurt, and I miss the person that I was with like a lot. Like, they were my person, but I also am coming to terms with, I think that they just like fundamentally misunderstood like who I was. I think one of the hardest things for me is like having people not like me, and like just kind of coming to terms with like this person didn't actually care for me the way that I cared for them. It's getting rough. It's getting really rough. And I feel very lonely and like tired and overstimulated. I'm not doing good. But it does feel good to keep moving forward, to like keep on being on the road and going to the next thing, you know? But I'm still really sad. I'm still really, really sad. Like any second that I take to myself, I'm just sad. Anyway, I don't even know if I'm recording this for the video or just for me. I'm kind of glad I didn't put on makeup because I've been a sob fest. Anyway, I love you. I don't know who I'm saying that to. Me, I guess. I do love you. Okay. Back at it, back on the road.
Yeah, this was a harder time. And I will say, as much as I put on the YouTube accent and look like I'm having a good time, this one took a lot out of me. Just like editing that video took a lot out of me. After that, luckily, I made it to my extended family's house. And I have a tendency to dismiss the simple solutions, like eating a meal or spending time with loved ones, but sometimes it's the easiest things that can really help make you feel better. But genuinely, getting to spend time with my baby cousins really did help me feel a little bit less alone. Me and my friends have a saying, which is treat yourself like a baby. Food, rest, love, you need all of them. Do it, okay? Mwah. So after dinner, I went to the new Braunfels Buc-ee's and I bought all of those children just too many gifts, and they are watching this, so everybody be cool, okay? Don't say anything weird.
This is my only friend right now.
And then the next day was the day of the grand opening.
Okie doke, here we are at the new Buc-ee's, the biggest one in the whole wide world. The festivities supposedly start in about an hour, so I'm gonna poke around and we're gonna see what we can see at this biggest Buc-ee's in the whole wide world. Yay!
I expected this to be a madhouse, but compared to the Buc-ee's yesterday, there was not nearly as many people there. And maybe that's because it was bigger, so there was more room. A couple of people gave speeches. The mayor, the CEO of Buc-ee's, and the governor of Texas was there.
Texas is proud to be the home of Beaver Applin, the growing Buc-ee's empire, and the cleanest bathrooms in the United States of America. Beaver, I have a special proclamation, from the state of Texas celebrating Buc-ee's in Luling in its grand opening.
Also, the CEO of Buc-ee's is named Beaver, and he looks exactly like you would expect somebody who started a gas station business in the 80s from Texas looks like.
You know, it didn't occur to me when we built the biggest store ever in Tennessee just how unhappy some of my fellow Texans would get with that. So Texas is back with the largest, as it should be.
But the people that I was actually the most excited about was I happened to run into a couple of people from Buc-ee's corporate.
While I was getting my penny, the lady who was after me, she's like, yeah, I've never done these before, but I actually am responsible for these machines in here. And I was like, what? I'm such a big fan of your work. Big fan of your work, man.
We got to chatting, and then she brought me over to meet a bunch of different people. Like, this is the head of the t-shirts. This is the one who does all the gifts. And I was like, oh my God.
We're getting to meet people. Hello, how's it going?
What is your name?
My name's Amanda.
Hey, Amanda. She's visited all of our stores. She's working on all the Houston stores.
We got to chat for a couple of minutes, and because I've been doing this for 2 weeks, I had a really nuanced appreciation for the things that they were responsible for. I was able to talk shop about really specific things like the Margaritaville section and the fall line of t-shirts.
Sure, very nice.
I'm like shaking. I feel like I'm meeting celebrities, and they're just like, I'm the guy who does all of the merchandise for the home goods and stuff. I've just been on this journey, and it was so cool to see the people behind the stuff that I've been admiring.
It was really cool to realize this thing that I had been immersed in had people behind it. It wasn't just some mysterious enigmatic brand. It was made from people, and they were so nice to me. It was really, really lovely to meet them.
Okay, while I try to come down from that high, I think since it's the biggest Buc-ee's, I'm gonna have to get the biggest Buc-ee's logo I can find.
Which was the towel. And so that was the grand opening. Then from there, I started going to all of the Buc-ee's in the Houston area. So over the next 2 days, I went to 22 Buc-ee's. I went to 8 the first day and then 14 the next. Here's the thing. I didn't want to make another 40-minute video. This is eating me alive. It's a lot of Buc-ee's, so I'm just going to summarize. My apologies if you are from one of these tiny little towns. I'm sorry. I mentioned you, shout out. So here's what I discovered. South Texas is where Buc-ee's started, and so there's a ton in the Houston area. There are actually 3 tiers of sizes when it comes to Buc-ee's. There's your travel centers, which you have in small and large. The smaller ones won't have things like a Truckee or a penny press. There's also what I would like to call the snack stations, which sometimes will have a bakery, but sometimes are just snacks. And then you have your itty-bitty pit stops, which will have maybe 4 pumps and are really small. This also roughly goes along with the history of Buc-ee's, which I have on this handy dandy t-shirt that I got, which I embroidered with check marks because, again, I've been to all of them. Do you hear what I'm saying? It's a lot of Buc-ee's in a short amount of time, but also the options were more limited.
So essentially that meant snacks.
At this point, the goal was less than $2 per Buc-ee's because there were so many, so I got chocolate, I got nuts, I got chocolate-covered nuts. I was also still interested in something that I could keep, so I did get all 4 of these mint tins.
If these are sugar-free, then what is in them? They don't even have ingredients. All it says is 1 carbohydrate. What? Okie doke, I got the orange blasts. No, it tastes like eating orange-flavored toothpaste. I'm not a fan.
I also tried these chocolate-covered Pop Rocks, and they were so bad. Oh my god, they were so bad.
Oh, they smell so strong. Like if you were to snort a line of like at Coca-Cola, actually, is like what it smells like. Those are so weird. It's sort of like if you covered like a hard candy with icing. So they're creamy and sweet on the outside, but like crunchy on the inside. It looks a little bit like gravel. I don't know, man. Those are weird. Okay, now they're kind of popping. Can you hear? One just flew out of my mouth and onto my car. Blech. It's sort of like you have to fight through that aftertaste of like milk chocolate to get to a Pop Rock. They're stuck to my teeth right now, which is making it hard to talk without my tongue getting battered.
They were so bad. Also, until 11 a.m. they sell kolaches, which I didn't realize was only a Texas thing until I moved away. They're basically like pig in a blanket breakfast sausages.
There's cheese and a sausage in there. I could live off of these things. I love cured meats, and Buc-ee's knows it, I swear. Kolaches. I think that they're Dutch in origin. I think that the area of South Texas actually has a relatively, like historically speaking, had a relatively large Dutch population. And so that's what a kolache is. Cheese, bread, meat, all the major food groups.
I also got the beaver chips and Katie, and they were not good. At the beginning of the second day, my body was just craving something green. And the best that I could do was these dill-flavored pork rinds and a mango green tea, which honestly was an incredible combo.
That is very refreshing. That's really good. The mango is super sweet, but it also has that like Arizona green tea sort of an aftertaste.
I also tried their coffee, and it was fine.
I mean, tastes like gas station coffee. What are you gonna do, you know?
There's also 2 in Lake Jackson, which is where Buc-ee's was founded, and because it was one of the originals, I went for the beaver nuggets, which they're famous for.
For those of you wondering what exactly a beaver nugget is, think of like a sugar glazed puffed Cheeto, but sweet. It's like a cinnamon caramel coating. Got this like glaze on the outside.
And then at the travel centers, I tried to get a souvenir. if I could. Bastrop, I got this little drink pin. At the Wharton Buc-ee's, I got a little cactus in a shot glass. At the Texas City Buc-ee's, I got a Texas Forever sticker. At the Baytown Buc-ee's, I got a swimsuit. And at the Freeport Buc-ee's, I got a keychain. That Buc-ee's also had a weird, like, secondary level for just bait and tackle things. Pretty neat. An interesting thing about a lot of the little gas station locations is that they didn't even have, like, Buc-ee signs. They look completely different than the Buc-ee's that we know today. It was just wild to see how many weird iterations it took to get to that point where the governor is presenting your company with an award. It was interesting. It was like watching a movie in reverse. It was just this interesting and obvious chronicle of things that didn't work, or maybe worked at the time but ultimately didn't stay. But all of those little missteps were part of the process that ultimately led to where it was supposed to go. And it took time. And at the risk of sounding corny, it was kind of encouraging to me. I think I struggle with wanting to focus on the finished product of something and not remember all of the hard work it takes to get there. It was actually kind of encouraging to be reminded that this process is messy and dorky and funky, and it's not going to be perfect early on. I don't know, just being in the middle of this process and being okay with, like, chowing down on beaver nuggets and sobbing the next moment. It was this weird comfort. It was a nice reminder that I kind of have to take it day by day, and that growth is not something that is achieved all at once. And no one gets there instantly, even if it looks like that on the outside. Achieving anything, if it's healing or growth or a YouTube channel or being a Fortune 500 company or I don't know what other people do, becoming a chef, whatever it is, it takes time. And as frustrating and sad as it can be to not be there at that moment, it's all just part of the process. And it's okay to make weird mistakes that don't make sense. Like moving across the country for a dude who dumps you 10 weeks later. And don't get me wrong, it sucks. I mean, it took a long time for me to even really be willing to edit this half of this video because that process has hurt so much. But it doesn't have to be perfect right now. It can be awkward and not pretty right now. And then hopefully whatever I do make can rise from the ashes and grow into something more beautiful. I hope. Anyway, after that it was time to drive back to DFW. Madisonville had a radio station and I got jerky, kind of surprised that I hadn't gotten it this far into the trip.
Good protein for a road trip.
In Waller, I got fudge, which my family actually ended up eating. Waller also wins the prize for the best truckie this entire trip.
Favorite truckie, A+ Waller, Texas, good job.
Ennis had the Texas license plate magnet, which completed my collection.
But also, truckie-wise, look at this horrifying monstrosity.
Worst truckie, hands down.
Up next, I went to the Denton Buc-ee's, which is my hometown Buc-ee's. And then finally, for my last stop, I got this cute little dress that I've been wanting since the beginning of the trip. And then that was it. That was all of the Buc-ee's. I am officially the queen of Buc-ee's. Everyone else, they only went to 33 locations, only the Texas ones, but there's more than 33 locations. There are 49 locations, and I went to all of them. Or maybe they did, but they didn't make a YouTube video about it yet, because I did. You're welcome.
So interesting to see this thing that I've been working for weeks of my life kind of coming to a close. Like, I kind of don't know what to do with myself.
Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate it, and for being here for part of this process. I've really been so blessed. Oh my god, the betting US thing. The freaking the sweepstakes. I figured it out. Turns out Bet US and Betting US are not the same thing. They just have a good URL, and upon further investigation of Betting US, it's completely AI. Everything in it, the people, the articles, everything. I ran it against AI checkers and it's all generated. Because apparently it's just a means to host affiliate links in order to make money. So, because if people click on those links and go to those actual betting websites, then they get a percentage of that. What? So, there was never actually a sweepstakes. They were just trying to generate buzz and generate interest. And so all of those media outlets that covered it and didn't do their due diligence to check out Betting US gave them a whole bunch of publicity. And I did too. And I don't think that they ever actually sent anybody onto a road trip. So just like everything else right now, pull off the Scooby-Doo mask and what is it? It's AI. God damn.
This is a silly one, but I'll say it. None of the past Buc-ee's today have smelled like Buc-ee's. Like, they haven't had that Buc-ee's smell. And I'm kind of disappointed. This guy smells like Buc-ee's. Or at least he did. He doesn't anymore. He's been baking in the sun. Yeah. Or maybe maybe everything about me smells like Buc-ee's now and I just don't anymore. It's like when you can't smell the smell of your own house. Oh no.